Max Verstappen just went from the pit lane to the podium in Sao Paulo. But what he said after the race, it shook McLaren to its core. In this video, you'll discover why Verstappen is accusing someone of bending the rules, what the data reveals about McLaren's sudden power surge, and how this could change the entire title race with only 3 Grands Prix left. Verstappen didn't just win back positions on track. He launched a strategic attack off it using words, not wheels. And McLaren may now be in the FIA's crosshairs. Stick around, because this goes beyond Brazil. If you respect what Verstappen pulled off and want the truth behind F1's biggest mind games, subscribe right now, because what's coming next will decide the world champion. Max Verstappen didn't need to shout, accuse, or name names. All it took was one thinly veiled statement after the Brazilian Grand Prix, a comment about interesting performance spikes and systems behaving unusually during the race. For anyone who understands Formula One's political language, that was more than enough. It was an open signal: McLaren's speed is raising questions. And coming from a driver like Verstappen, who rarely speaks without precision, the impact was instant. The media heard it. The paddock heard it. The FIA definitely heard it. McLaren's recent dominance has been impressive, too impressive. Lando Norris has now surged to the top of the championship with 390 points, thanks in part to top speed advantages and impeccable race execution. But behind the scenes, some engineers and rival teams have started noticing strange data spikes. Straight-line acceleration that doesn't match the drag levels. Unusual energy deployment patterns. Red Bull, with Verstappen's telemetry feedback leading the way, has been quietly collecting this data for weeks. In Brazil, the tipping point was reached. Verstappen's decision to speak wasn't emotional. It was tactical. Starting from the pit lane after a radical overnight setup change, he had nothing to lose and everything to gain. His climb to P3 was extraordinary, a showcase of pace, tire management, and race intelligence. But the real move came after the checkered flag. Verstappen, fully aware of the tension building between teams, put the spotlight directly on McLaren without ever saying their name. That's a move only a seasoned champion makes: disrupt the narrative without starting a war. What makes this more dangerous for McLaren is the timing. With only 3 races left in the season, and Norris leading the standings, any investigation, even informal, could cause distraction, internal stress, or political backlash. Verstappen knows this. By throwing the first stone now, he forces McLaren to play defense at the most critical stage of the championship. And in F1, perception is half the battle. If the paddock starts doubting your car, even slightly, you've already lost part of the mental edge. Inside Red Bull, Laurent Mekies is watching all of this unfold. Replacing Christian Horner wasn't just about managing the team, it was about managing Verstappen. And Brazil was the first real test. Mekies trusted Max's call to change the car overnight. He supported the pit lane strategy. And he didn't muzzle Verstappen post-race. That hands-off approach gave Verstappen the space to dominate the race and the narrative. Mekies didn't need to say a word. Verstappen said enough for both of them. Now, the pressure is on everyone else. McLaren must respond. The FIA may start digging. The media will keep asking questions. And Verstappen? He's sitting third in the championship with 341 points, lurking, calculating, hunting. This wasn't a desperate move. This was a precision strike. With just 3 races left, Max Verstappen isn't chasing Lando Norris. He's pushing the entire field toward the edge, to see who breaks first. When Max Verstappen and Red Bull made the radical choice to start from the pit lane in Brazil, many assumed it was damage control. But it was actually a masterstroke. The setup they ran on Saturday wasn't working. Verstappen complained of front-end instability, inconsistent rear grip, and unpredictable tire warm-up through Sector 2. Instead of accepting a compromised Sunday, Verstappen pushed for overnight changes, knowing it would breach park firm rules and force him to start from the pits. That call, made with full support from Laurent Mekies, redefined their entire race strategy. The revised setup transformed the car. While telemetry showed Red Bull sacrificing qualifying grip, the race simulation data was extraordinary. Verstappen's RB20 was now designed for long stints, high-speed rotation, and superior straight-line exit torque tailor-made for overtaking through Interlagos' crucial final sector. That combination, paired with Verstappen's unparalleled throttle discipline and tire preservation skills, gave him a tool that other drivers simply didn't have. While they fought to maintain tire temperature, Verstappen was generating pace lap after lap, with negative degradation trends a rare phenomenon on a circuit as abrasive as Sao Paulo. But raw pace wasn't enough. Verstappen's brilliance came in how he executed the three-stop strategy. He stayed off the radar in the opening laps, using early clean air to avoid battles and extend his first stint. His outlaps after each stop were surgical. He used ERS deployment, perfectly harvesting energy in sectors 1 and 2, then unleashing full deployment in sector 3 to maximize DRS-assisted passes. His lap delta variance was minimal, something only achievable when driver and car are working in total mechanical harmony. This wasn't luck. This was Verstappen engineering his own race in real time. Crucially, Laurent Mekies gave him the freedom to operate. Unlike Horner, who often ran strategy like a general, Mekies operates more like a systems engineer. He trusts Verstappen to provide direction during the race, and Brazil proved how effective that can be. There were no arguments over radio. No hesitation on pit wall. Verstappen communicated what he needed, and Red Bull delivered. That synergy is rare, especially in a team still adjusting to a leadership transition. But Mekies understands that Verstappen doesn't need micromanagement. He needs trust. And in Brazil, that trust paid off. By lap 50, Verstappen had passed 17 cars not through chaos, but with calm, controlled aggression. His overtakes were clinical. He left space when needed, used dummy lines to force mistakes, and never burned the tires too early. When he passed Alonso and Russell, it wasn't just for position. It was for momentum. Each pass was psychological, sending a message to the paddock: you cannot contain me. And when he finally crossed the line in third, ahead of both Ferraris, the message was clear. From last to podium, not because of chance, but because of choices. This wasn't a recovery drive. It was a championship statement. Verstappen didn't just claw back points. He proved that even without pole, even without a perfect car, he can dictate the race. With only 3 races left, every team now knows that Verstappen is still the most dangerous driver on the grid. He's not just fast. He's thinking faster. And with Mekies backing his every call, the Verstappen Red Bull machine may be entering its most efficient, most dangerous form yet, just when it matters most. What separates champions from contenders is not just speed, it's command. In Brazil, Verstappen showed the paddock that he's not just racing for points, he's controlling the pace of the entire sports conversation. After his stunning drive, when microphones turned his way, he didn't talk about his own race. He asked questions about others, subtle, pointed ones. Some teams are finding performance in ways that don't always show up in the data, he said, his tone casual but surgical. In that moment, he planted seeds of doubt. Not in engineers. In everyone. This wasn't frustration or deflection. This was tactical precision. Verstappen knows the mental game in F1 is just as ruthless as what happens on track. By suggesting irregularities, especially aimed at McLaren without ever naming them, he created a media narrative that they now have to manage. And when a team is forced to explain itself off track, it loses focus on what matters most: optimizing performance. Verstappen doesn't need to beat you in turn 1. He'll beat you on Thursday, in press conferences, with 10 words and a smirk. His control doesn't end with the media. It flows deep into the Red Bull garage. Laurent Mekies has understood that Verstappen isn't just a driver, he's a race strategist, a development barometer, and a psychological asset. After Horner's departure, many feared a power vacuum. Instead, Verstappen filled that space not by asking for it, but by proving every weekend that the team functions best when it lets Max lead without saying so. Mekies listens more than he commands. That balance is what allowed Verstappen to make bold calls like Brazil's setup change without resistance. And that empowerment pays off under pressure. Verstappen has become unnervingly calm when chaos breaks out, whether it's early incidents, questionable calls, or weather changes. In Brazil, while others were scrambling for track position and overcut timing, Max was laser-focused on tire phase, corner exit traction, and ERS harvesting. He thinks multiple laps ahead, almost like a chess player. He doesn't just react to what happens, he prepares others to react to him. That's not just experience. That's evolution. His ability to shape the mentality of rivals is growing. George Russell described racing Verstappen as claustrophobic not because of aggressive moves, but because Max never disappears from your mirrors. Lando Norris admitted last month that Verstappen knows how to make you overthink a move. These are elite drivers revealing how Verstappen affects their judgment. That's not coincidence. That's psychological warfare on four wheels. Verstappen is forcing mistakes without touching a single tire just by occupying the mental space his competitors can't seem to clear. Now, with 3 races to go and 49 points behind Norris, Verstappen isn't chasing. He's setting traps. He's redefining what pressure means. And he's doing it with a confidence that feels dangerous because it's not noisy, it's cold. Calculated. A champion's mind at full throttle. McLaren might be ahead on points, but Verstappen is ahead on narrative. And in a sport where belief drives performance, that's more than just a head game. That's a strategic weapon.